In this video, we'll be learning how to graph horizontal and vertical lines. So the easiest way to do this is to dive in and look at an example. So what we're going to be looking at when we're graphing horizontal and vertical lines are equations that look like this one, where we only have one variable. And if we only have one variable, we can automatically assume that this is going to be a horizontal or a vertical line. And so the easiest way to kind of figure that out is to use a table to help you. So if you only see one variable, my suggestion is to always use a table because you're not going to be able to easily find a slope and y-intercept if you only have one variable. And so what this equation is telling you is that every single point on this graph has a y value of -2. So what you can do if you use a table to help you is you can go directly to that table and say, well, I'm going to create a number of points and every single y value is going to be -2. And then for the x values, because x isn't in the problem, x can be anything. So you could pick 0, 4, -3, 8, whatever you want to pick for x, because there's no stipulations, no requirements on x. And then all we need to do is go and graph it. So I say x is 0, y is -2. That's this point right here. X is 0, y is -2. X is 4, y is -2. That's here. And we have x is -3, y is -2. And then 8, the 8 actually falls off the graph. It's probably somewhere over here, but we have x is 8, y is -2. So just by using that little detail here of knowing y is always -2 because it's the only variable in the problem, we can see that this forms a horizontal line. So the table makes it really easy to find those coordinates. Then from here to find our domain, we notice that this graph is moving forever to the left and forever to the right. So that means our domain is all real numbers. And then our range, remember those are all of the y values that we need to make points on our graph. Well, the only y value that we need here for this graph is -2. It doesn't go forever up and down, so you can write that our range is simply y equals -2. So here again we see that we have an equation that only has one variable. And if you only see one variable, the easiest thing to do is to use a table. So again, this is telling us that all of the x values for any points that we put onto this graph need to have an x value of 3. But because y isn't in the problem, y can really be anything. So you can pick any values for y that you want. So I'm going to pick maybe 0, -4, +4, and maybe I'll do +3 just to kind of give me some different points. So I have x is 3, y is 0. That's that point right there. X is 3, y is -4. X is 3, y is +4. And x is 3, y is 3. So we can see here that this is forming a vertical line if we always have x values that are 3. So now we can connect our points, draw our line, and then we can determine our domain and range. So our domain, the graph isn't moving forever left and right. Domain is talking about the x values. And those we can see the only x value we have is x equals 3. Because y can be anything and it's going forever up and forever down, our range would be all real numbers. This last example here I threw in here because I want to show you one that maybe it's not obvious that it's a one variable equation. But here you can see that this kind of looks like, other ones we've done where maybe it has a slope and y-intercept, but you'll notice again that it only has one variable. So if it only has one variable, you always want to start by solving that equation so that one variable is by itself. So if you only see one variable, start by solving it so that that one variable is alone. So we have -4x is equal to 8 divided by -4, and x is going to equal -2. So again, because we only have one variable, easiest strategy to use is to use a table to help us, because this is telling us that every x value is equal to -2, so we can make a couple of points using x as -2. And then y here can be anything. So we can maybe pick 0, 4, and -4. And then if we go ahead and graph those, so x is -2, y is 0, x is -2, y is 4, and x is -2, y is -4. We can see here that we have a vertical line taking place at x equals -2. And then from here, our domain, the only x value we need is -2. So we're going to have x equals -2. And then our range, the range values that we need, the graph goes forever up and down. So this again would be all real numbers.